web series where I use IMDb to discover and talk about all different types of movies and TV shows, and how the people in front of and behind the camera not only make it all possible, but are somehow all interconnected. I talk directly with the talent about their backstories and experiences on and off set, and what they're up to today. On my last episode, I talked with director Howard Deutsch about Pretty in Pink. Jennifer Polito was a set director on Pretty in Pink, and she was also a set director on Gilmore Girls. So today, I'm going to be talking about Gilmore Girls, and it's a two-part episode. I am a huge Gilmore Girls fan, and I mean huge. I started watching it about a year ago, and I finished it within 3 months because it was that good. It airs 7 seasons, and it's on Netflix, and it's about Lorelai, the mom of Rory, and it's about their life together. Lorelai had Rory at a young age, and it's just about them growing up and being best friends because they're very close. And one of my favorite characters on the show is Babette. And I had the absolute honor on part 1 of this episode to speak with the one and only Sally Struthers, who plays Babette on the show. Sally Struthers has such an incredible history in film, television, and theater. She won 2 Emmy Awards for her role as Gloria, the daughter of Archie and Edith Bunker on All in the Family, and she reprised the role on Archie Bunker's Place and Gloria. She was in 5 Easy Pieces, The Getaway, The Pebbles and Bam Bam Show, Fred Flintstone and Friends, and Dinosaurs. Her Broadway and theater credits include Grease, The Odd Couple, Wally's Cafe, Annie, Hello Dolly, and so much more. And now, without further ado, here's my interview with Sally Struthers. You're an award-winning actress. You have been in so many movies, TV shows. You've been on Broadway. You've done animation shows, and so much more. When you were a kid, did you have any idea you would be acting professionally, and what got you started?
Sienna, when I was your age, when I was 13, and I really was 13 one time, that was 62 years ago, I think I might have still been playing with dolls. That's how immature I was. People 75 years ago, born 75 years ago, young people weren't as worldly as they are now. I mean, look at you. You have your own podcast and you're 13. I think if anybody had asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I probably would have said something funny to make them laugh, because my whole reason for living since I was 2 years old is to make people laugh. And that has been my joy. You know how people walk down the street and they have headphones on?
Yeah.
And they're listening to music?
Mm-hmm.
My music is laughter. If I can get one person or a room full of people or a theater full of people to laugh, I'm in heaven. And so, I don't know, maybe I would have answered, I want to be a clown. And I did turn out to be a clown, but have a wonderful career. But people have, some people say, what do you want written on your headstone when you get buried? And I always answered, well, here lies a clown. Then when I was in high school, I wrote a paper on interior decoration.
Oh, okay.
I like the idea of learning all the ins and outs of being an interior decorator, because in the tiny little house I grew up in with my mom and my sister, I was always moving the furniture around and the pillows and the lamps and making things look different and making them look prettier. And that I just thought that was fun. So when I realized I could have a career doing that, I thought, well, that's what I'll be. And then by the time I got to my junior year of high school, I thought, gosh, my dad didn't have any sons. He had 2 daughters.
Yeah.
And I'd love to honor him by following in his footsteps. He was a physician. He was a doctor, a family doctor.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought, well, I'll become a doctor. And then when I was in my beginning of senior year of high school and starting to have to check out colleges and send, applications, I said to my mom, and I mean, I was crying for days. I said, I can't do this. And she said, what can't you do? And I said, I don't think I can be a doctor. And she said, why not? You're on the honor roll at school. You're doing very well in all your classes. Why? Why do you think you can't be a doctor? And I said, because in the science class and biology class, when they brought the cow's eye into the room and we each had to, dissect a cow's eye, I nearly fainted. And when they wanted us to cut open a frog and dissect a frog, I vomited.
Oh.
And I said, I don't think I could work dead human being, which they call a cadaver. I don't think I could work on a cadaver for a year in anatomy class. I think I would fall apart too much for that. I could never get on to the following classes because I'd never passed that one. And my mom said, without missing a beat, well, then why don't you be an actor? Well, why would I do that? And she said, well, you've been entertaining the family and the neighbors ever since you could walk and talk. I think it comes to you naturally. And so I said, well, I have no idea how to become an actor. So she researched schools and she found one for me to apply to in California. I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. Mm-hmm. So Los Angeles, California, or Pasadena, California seemed very far away.
Mm-hmm.
And they accepted me and off I went.
Oh, wow.
So here I am talking to you.
And how did Gilmore Girls come your way? Were you approached specifically for the role of Babette, or did you audition for another role before that?
I auditioned for Babette. I was not approached. My manager approached them when he found out that they were looking for someone diminutive in stature, which is another way of saying short. Only I don't like the word short to describe me because that's the word you use when you're describing how much cash you don't have. I'm short cash. So being described as a short woman makes me feel like I'm lacking in something.
Yeah.
So, but they were looking for someone 5 foot tall or less to play the wife of a very tall jazz musician. And so I flew in from Las Vegas where I was doing a musical and went in the morning to audition. And then the minute I left the studios, Paramount Studios, and got in my car, my manager called me and said, you got it.
Oh, wow.
So that was one of the times I was really, really happy to be exactly 5 feet tall.
Yeah, I know. I have a lot of friends that are like a foot taller than me. I'm pretty short for my age too. Babette is such a standout character. In fact, Alexis Bledel, I was watching an interview with her with Jimmy Fallon, and she said Babette is one of her favorite characters, and I know she brings fun and love to the town. But what do you love about the role?
There are a few things that I love, but I'll focus on the two main ones that just popped into my brain. The first day on the set, shooting my first episode of Gilmore Girls, they came to get me in the makeup trailer. They said, we got to take you down to the set and we want you to run your lines for the crew and the director because then they'll see how they want to light the scene. And so then we'll bring you back to the trailer and they'll finish your makeup. So they took me down in a cute little cart. And I showed up on the set and the director said to me, have you met your husband yet? And I said, no. And he pointed way across Lorelei and Rory's lawn and said, see that tall fellow over there? That's your husband. I'll call him over and you two can meet. So he introduced us. And they said, let's run the scene for the crew. So we ran our cute little scene. And he said, well, I'm not really sure that's the way we're going to do it. Why don't you two sit down on those lawn chairs for a minute and we'll have you run it again after we have a discussion. So I'm sitting there with an absolute stranger who's supposed to play my husband. And he says to me, this is like 6:30 in the morning, and I'm bleary-eyed. And he says, how are things in Portland with your family and friends? I said, what? He said, how are things in Portland with your life there? I said, you know I'm from Portland. He said, yes. I said, wait a minute. What, wait a minute. I said, I received the script for this episode while I was in Las Vegas. And I opened up the first page, and there were the names of all the characters, and beside it, the names of the actors playing it. And I saw your name, and I said to myself, that couldn't be. But you are? And he shook his head yes, with a big Cheshire cat grin on his face. And I said, oh my gosh, you are Ted Rooney, son of Ed Rooney, my high school math teacher.
Oh, wow.
And he says, yes. And I said, so you went to Grant High School too? And he said, yes. And I said, oh my God, now you're playing my husband. Crazy. And the other reason I like it is because when I went to the audition, I decided to do a slight impression of my very favorite actress who ever lived, and her name was Ruth Gordon. And I loved her for many years before I ever had the chance to meet her and work with her. I did a movie of the week called The Great Houdinis, where I played Harry Houdini's wife. Mm-hmm. He was, great magician. And I played Bess Houdini, and Ruth Gordon played Harry Houdini's mother. Oh. And from that time on, we were great friends until she passed away. And I've always been fascinated with her speech patterns. So when I was doing the audition, I was kind of talking like this, because that's the way Ruth Gordon talks. And I guess between my 5 feet tall stature and my impression of Ruth Gordon, I got the part. Mm-hmm. So every time I was on the set for 7 years, I got to pretend I was Ruth Gordon.
Well, that's a funny story too. That your husband ended up being your math teacher's son.
Yes, isn't that crazy how small the world is?
Yeah, small world. Yeah. And Liz Torres, speaking of friends in a small world, who plays Miss Patty on Gilmore Girls, was in All in the Family with you. Yes. Did you know she was going to be on Gilmore Girls when you first started on the show? And what was it like working with her again?
I had no idea she was going to be on it. I don't remember what episode I did where I realized that I was going to be in a scene with her and that her name was on the inside page of the script. And I did, an Irish jig around my house because I've always loved her. We've always been friends, but we kind of slightly lost touch with each other over the years because, 40 years had passed since I'd done All in the Family.
Yeah.
And I had married and had a child, and she had married and divorced, and we just lost track of each other. So when we were on the Gilmore Girls set together, we got the chance to rekindle our friendship.
Yeah.
And have stayed tight ever since. And now she lives less than a mile from my house.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah. You guys play such great friends on the show, too. Like, you guys are like the gossipers of the town.
I know. I think the audience gets to see the real Liz and the real Sally coming through in terms of our friendship.
Yeah.
We adore each other, and we're both kind of naughty. We got in so much trouble on the set that they would separate us like children in kindergarten. They would say, girls, you're making too much racket. They would make Liz go sit somewhere else, a half a block away so that I couldn't talk with her.
And the dialogue, it also moves really fast on the show. Was it difficult to learn and recite lines so fast?
I think I've got kind of a reverse answer for you. I was in Ogunquit, Maine, which is a little beach town in the state of Maine, mm-hmm. at their theater there, doing a show, maybe around 2006, 2007. I was doing a Fiddler on the Roof. Oh. Playing the lead character's wife, Tevye's wife, Golda. Uh-huh. And at the end of the first day of rehearsal, the director of the show, his name is B.T. McNichol, he came over to me and he said, Sally, can I talk with you? I said, sure, B.T. He said, I don't know why you're talking so fast playing this part, but I don't think people on the pogrom in Russia in the late 1800s talked like you're talking. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? He said, did you hear the way you just said that? You are talking 400 miles an hour. I said, I am. I don't realize I'm talking fast. And he said, well, just go back to where you're staying tonight and think about it, and then we'll see how tomorrow goes. So I thought about it, and then, of course, the light bulb went on over my head, and I couldn't wait to see him the next morning in the rehearsal hall. And I said, BT, I've just been for the last 6 years on a television series called Gilmore Girls, and we are all required to speak really quickly so that the script can be a few pages longer than a normal 1 hour show. Because Amy Sherman-Palladino, who writes the show, likes to write a lot of snappy patter and witty chatter and hates to cut really brilliant material she's written. So she just would like us to all talk faster. And that's what I've learned to do, and that's what I'm talking about to you right now. So I think having to speak fast made us each every day get more prepared to say our lines than we would if we could speak normally.
Yeah.
Have to have such a command of them to speed them up that you really your lines before you get to work every day.
And do you have any favorite memories from filming the show?
Oh God, so many.
I'm sure.
Such a wonderful cast. So
Yeah.
much constant laughter. I think for me, since in the 1970s, Carole King became such a famous recording artist, and I had all her albums, as did everyone in North America, and have lived my whole life still loving to break in spontaneously into one of her songs. To do an episode with her, I think it was during the filming of the 4 90-minute episodes of A Year in the Life.
Yeah,
And to do that scene with her, and then afterwards when we were done filming, she said, the only thing I require of all of you, and I mean all the extras were there inside that room that doubles as Miss Patty's dance studio and where we have the town meetings.
Yeah.
And we were all in there, and she let all the extras come in, all of the cameramen, the lighting men, the entire crew, the writers, all the actors. I mean, there were 65, 70 people crowded in this room where the piano was that she had used during the scene we filmed. And she said, I'd like to play some songs for you and sing for you now, but I just don't want any of you to film me. I'd like you to all put down your cameras and let's just enjoy this experience together. And then she started pounding on the piano and singing, and we had a private concert, and it was absolutely amazing.
Wow. That sounds so nice. Yeah. I know whenever, because she also, the theme song, like when the theme of it that is one of her songs. And I know, like, because I started watching it less than a year ago, and I already finished, like, Gilmore Girls, A Year in the Life and everything, too. But because now I know the song so well, I just, like, when it comes on, I just start singing it, because it's such a great song, too.
Yeah, she's quite a gift.
Yeah.
To the planet, a gift to people who are on this planet during her time. I mean, you know, sometimes you fall in love with somebody that was an actor or a poet or a recording artist from your parents' or your grandparents' time because someone gives you the book to read or the music to listen to, and you wish that you would have been alive during that time.
Yeah.
But then every once in a while, a real bright, shining star is alive during your own lifetime, and you feel so lucky that you were here when they were here because you could go to their concerts and really experience it firsthand.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. I mean, I just went to one of my first concerts like a few months ago too. Yeah.
Who'd you see?
I saw Coldplay.
Oh, fantastic!
Yes, it was great. It was a great, like, one of my first concerts, and it was a great one.
Let me ask you, did people stand up during most of it?
Most of it, I think I did too.
Well, see, that's my problem. When you're sitting down in a stadium,
yeah,
and everyone is sitting down, even people that are diminutive in stature, like you and me, Sienna.
Yeah.
Like, you can still see over the heads of the people in front of you, even if they're a foot taller than you, because everybody's sitting down in a But what I have found about going to concerts in the last 20 years is that people won't sit down.
Yeah.
And when you're my age, you'd like to sit. It's hard to stand up for 2 hours when you're 75. But the people in front of you won't sit down, so the only way you're going to see the concert is if you stand up too.
Yeah.
So I've kind of given up going to concerts.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, a lot of people were standing up. There was, like, times where they'd sit down for a minute, but then, like, right as the next song came on, they'd stand up again.
Yeah.
I know fans are hoping for more of Gilmore Girls. Because I'm sure I am. Do you think there will ever be another Gilmore Girls reunion?
It's been a phenomenon
Mm-hmm.
that it has stayed popular more years than it was
Yeah.
ever.
I feel like it's like one of the most, like, it's like popular more than it ever has been now, because especially since it's on Netflix now.
Yeah, and I think that fact is not missed on Amy Sherman-Palladino.
Yeah.
And I know she's busy right now with the Marvelous Mrs.
Yeah.
Maisel, but she might be motivated to write another episode or two if Netflix would like to produce it, which would be very smart of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm so sad that it ended. I mean, I love that show. It's probably one of my favorite shows.
You have very good taste, Sienna, because that writing is very intelligent.
Yeah.
That's what I love about Amy Sherman-Palladino, is that she is one smart cookie, and she does not pander to the lowest common denominator. She writes very intelligent, newsworthy dialogue.
Yeah.
She up on, all of the latest people that are mentioned and the characters talking.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to rewind it or go backwards with your television and watch the scene again to catch it all, because it's so bright and so fast.
Yeah.
So we were all very lucky to work on that show, because you don't often get dialogue like that to
Yeah.
learn. When I finished with All in the Family, which I'm sure your parents and your grandparents
Yeah, definitely.
it was a really groundbreaking show. When I was done with that after 8 seasons, people would say to me in passing, "Gosh, it's such a shame that you had so much success when you were so young, because the rest of your career will be downhill from here."
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, that's a very negative thing to say. And it's been anything but. And the highlight again was that all those years after All in the Family, I got to do Gilmore Girls, which was every bit as innovative and exciting as All in the Family.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me ask you about you. When did you decide to do a podcast?
Well, I've always been into watching movies and TV shows, and I've always wanted to be an actress, and I just had this idea, or like, not exactly this idea, but something like it, just to talk about movies and TV shows for a while to people. And during COVID, it kind of just felt like the perfect time, because I didn't have a lot going on. So that's how it started, pretty much.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, and then I just pretty much was just talking in front of a camera and posting it on YouTube, like, movies and TV shows I liked. And then I decided to, like, take it up a notch, and I started interviewing people like you.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank
I'm
you.
thrilled that I get to be one of the people that you interview, because I see you going places, girlfriend.
Thank you.
Really do.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. And is there anything you're working on now?
Yes, I just came home on Monday from San Francisco, where I did an AIDS benefit and I sang. 2 weeks from now, I have my first day of rehearsal for the musical Young Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be doing it at theater here in Los Angeles County, which is hugely exciting for me, because all of my work, theater work, which I do anywhere from 9 to 11 months a year, I'm living out of a suitcase and I'm somewhere else doing a show. Having to leave my home, leave my family, leave my bed, leave my pets, and be some strange place and be away from home for weeks and months at a time. And so it's hugely exciting for me to be doing a show in LA. And I did this musical almost a year ago in Ogunquit, Maine. So now I know that part, which makes it easier for me to have already done it. And I'm really looking forward to doing shows at the La Mirada Theater and then coming home at night and actually sleeping in my own bed.
Yeah, definitely.
About a month after that closes, I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas, to a theater called the New Theater. And it's not a new theater at all. It's very old, and it's one of the last, dinner theaters in America. Dinner theaters were a big deal in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and then they started dying out, and there's very few of them now.
Uh-huh.
And I worked there about 12 years ago, and they have me coming back, and I will be there for 14 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, I'm going to spend all those alone in Kansas doing a play with an actor named Hal Linden, who was the star of a television sitcom called Barney Miller. He's 91 years old now, and he's playing my husband.
Oh, wow. Before we wrap it up, I have something I do with a few of my guests, and it's basically 5 questions rapid fire. So you kind of just have to say the first answer that pops in your head.
Okay, I'm going to try.
Okay.
And I'll also try to keep it short because I know I'm long-winded.
No, it's totally fine. All right, here we go. Favorite memory from working on All in the Family?
When Sheen Stapleton, who played my mother, Edith Bunker, was reading the Los Angeles Times over in a corner on a coffee break, and I saw her getting red in the face, and I went over and asked her what was wrong, and she said, "Would you look, this car wash is advertising for Polish men." I said, "Sheen, that's polish."
Okay.
That was my favorite moment.
Cake or ice cream?
Ice cream. I love cold things. I'm Scandinavian. I love cold weather. I love snow. I can't drink a glass of water unless it has ice in it. So ice cream is colder than cake, so I'll have ice cream.
Yes. And what makes you smile?
Hearing laughter.
And are you Team Jess, Team Dean, or Team Logan?
I'm Team Dean.
So I'm Team Jess.
Okay.
If you could pass along a life lesson based on everything you have learned from performing and your outreach work, what would it be?
I believe the most important quality that people need to nurture in themselves and be steadfast about is to display and give kindness to all other human beings. I know that even in a career as an actor, you meet the same people coming back down that you met on the way up. So just be kind, not only polite and everything else that goes with it, but kindness takes you a long ways in life, and it really helps out other people. People appreciate kindness.
Yes, I agree, definitely. That's a great answer. I want to thank you so much for doing this. This has been great. I love Gilmore Girls. I love your role, and it's just an honor to talk to you today.
It's an honor to talk to you, and anytime you want to talk to me again, like if I get another TV series or something, let's do it.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks, Deanna.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too, honey. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Miss Struthers, for sharing your stories and being such an inspiration. It was an honor to speak with you. Well, that's it for today. Tune in for part 2 of the Gilmore Girls episode to hear my interview with casting director Jamie Rudofsky. See you then!